Hello! So this is going to be my video where I'm going to share the 5 most important takeaways that I got out of taking DeafBlind this term. So I'm going to start by listing all 5, and then I'm going to go a little bit more in depth on each of the most important things that I learned. So number 1 is flexibility. Number 2 is building relationships. Number 3, recognizing the privilege that you have. 4, slowing down. And 5, accepting your failures. So I'll start with flexibility. Using both hands is a big challenge, but it's also something that you have to be open to. And being flexible is just a great skill to have in life in general. But especially when working with the deafblind community or just the deaf community, it's so important to be flexible because you're gonna make mistakes. It's not your language, it's second nature to you. It's not second nature to you, so you have to really be open to being uncomfortable, and flexibility actually breeds for a lot of learning, so be flexible. Number 2, build relationships. So we all have things in common, and it's super important, even if you're really nervous working with the deafblind community and it's new to you, it's super important to kind of just ask people about themselves and ask them what their interests are, because chances are you have some common ground, and that can be really exciting and lead to great relationships for you. An example that I will share from my SSP experience is I SSP'd with one of the students from Europe, and we were cooking, and he taught me how to cut the vegetables in a way that I never thought of, that makes it so that they cook so much easier. And that was really cool for me because I love to cook, and I just learned this cool new thing that I can use. So building relationships is really great and also really important. Number 3, recognizing the privilege that you have. So for me, being in college in general has taught me a lot about the privilege that I have as a hearing, sighted, white person, able-bodied. I have so many privileges, and I think it's so important to recognize that. And you know, just don't take things for granted, like having a car and being able to drive yourself from point A to point B is such a privilege that I feel like we all take for granted. And the fact that we don't have to work that hard to find a doctor or a dentist that will take us, because we don't have to worry about whether or not they're going to, you know, be open to using an interpreter. So recognizing your privilege is super big takeaway that I got out of this class. 4, slow down. So we've all learned that working with the deafblind community, pacing is very different than in the hearing sighted culture. We tend to want to do things really quickly, and I feel that. I feel it in myself that I often just am always working at a fast pace, going from one thing to the next. But when you're working with the deafblind community, take a breath, slow down, don't forget to communicate, and that communication is key, and that they, you know, deserve all the information. And just because that's our culture and it's fast doesn't mean that you can, you know, skip giving important information. So slowing down was my number 4. And then the last one, number 5, accept your failures. CM has mentioned this multiple times, that you are going to mess up, and you're going to mess up again, and you're going to mess up again. And resiliency is super important. You have to be able to just own it and be like, okay, I messed up, I accept that, and then get right back in and keep going. That's super important if you're going to work with the deaf or the deafblind community. It's just like when we were all learning ASL and we probably got corrected on our signs a lot or had to ask for clarification a lot. It's going to be the same thing when you're learning something new. So accepting your failures and keep trying is the last takeaway. So those were my 5 most important things that I took away from the term, and thank you guys for watching. And thank you for learning with me. I really enjoyed this term with all you guys.